Hello again, and welcome back to Team Chaos MTG here on YouTube. I'm Dodge, and in case you missed the news, yesterday there was another banned and restricted update made for Magic the Gathering. In Standard, by far the most impacted format, we lost the following three cards. Veil of Summer, Oko Thief of Crowns, and Once Upon a Time all got the axe. Now, it shouldn't be too surprising to anyone watching this that these cards were banned from the format. Oko especially has become particularly oppressive. Once Upon a Time and Veil of Summer also seeing insane amounts of play. Oko Thief of Crowns was in almost 70% of the decks at Mythic Championship Richmond, easily warping the format around itself. Simic Food decks were the best deck with an above 50% win percentage. It's just insane to me even reading these statistics off. The other 10 most played decks, according to this article here on dailymtg.com, were all Simic Flash and had a favorable matchup against Simic Food, with just above a 50% win percentage as well. Food decks maintained on average about 53% non-mirror match win rate, even with the metagame focused on beating them. That is a direct quote from the update article. And that is pretty fucking wild if you ask me. I mean, it's always good to have powerful cards, and they're fun, people enjoy them. I know I've had a lot of fun playing with Oko, but when you're seeing that much of a single strategy, it is probably time to go. In fact, green decks have kind of just taken over in general. Once Upon a Time, aside from the alternative casting cost, just provides a whole lot of card selection, and Veil of Summer is too much value. I mean, keeping your permanents protected, making sure your spells don't get countered, keeping things on the board, and drawing cards. It's just a little bit insane. A worst case scenario, the card is just a cantrip, and usually cantrips are pretty good. There's not a whole lot I can really say about this. We could dive into the nuances if there were any, but long story short, this stuff just had to go. And on the subject of bans that really should have surprised nobody, Wrenn 6 was banned from Legacy yesterday. Now this one might seem a little bit more questionable, especially if you don't play much Legacy, but Temur Delver has more or less taken over the format since the card was introduced. It's also maintained, this is another quote from the article here, a 56.5% win rate. And apparently it's earned over 3 times as many 5-0 finishes as any other deck in the format on Magic Online. It also, and still quoting, has a favorable matchup against each of the other 10 most played decks. Now, that's really not surprising, for as spell heavy as it is, there are a lot of creatures that see a lot of play in Legacy, and a 2-mana Planeswalker that can ping for 1 happens to get rid of most of them, or at least most of the more powerful ones. Mother of Runes, Young Pyromancer, and Thalia Guardian of Thraben all see a ton of Legacy play, and well, they all die to Wrenn 6. Usually the turn that they come down, or the turn after they come down, and usually before they can do much to take over the board. Mom can't protect herself. Young Pyromancer, if it's lucky, will get to make just a couple of tokens before it gets blinked out of existence. And Thalia, while she can put Wrenn 6 off by a turn, once she's gone, isn't providing any additional value. That aside, there's always the idea that you can just even out your mana base with Wrenn 6 by recurring your fetch lands, or if you're getting wastelanded out, get back your dual lands. Hell, why not lock your opponent out of the game almost entirely by just getting your own wasteland back every single turn? The possibilities are endless doesn't really apply here since it's kind of a linear strategy, but the possibilities are enough that the card, again, just kinda had to go, at least for the time being, though I don't expect it's going to be reintroduced anytime soon. And finally, while it isn't a banning, it may as well be. In the vintage scene, Narset Parter of Vales was restricted. That means you can only have one copy in your entire 75 card deck. Now, I don't know how many of you play vintage. I enjoy it. I definitely don't play it as much as I would like to, but let me say that in a format where pretty much every single deck is trying to draw just a shit ton of cards every other turn, not being able to do that is fairly toxic. In fact, when you can almost always get a Narset turn 1 off the back of a Black Lotus or Moxen or some other form of ramp, usually a Lotus or Moxen, it just isn't fun. It turns the format into a bunch of non-games, and if you're on the play and you have an Narset, your opponent is almost certainly locked out. Not to mention that there really aren't a ton of creature-based strategies in Vintage, and being able to go ahead and dig 4 cards deep for whatever key piece of your own strategy you're looking for is pretty good. When this card was introduced, I think the most popular deck at the time was Paradoxical Storm, and that deck basically just draws itself in a single turn, and then storms out the opponent with Tendrils or something similar. Locking that out turn 1 or turn 0 for the opponent on the draw is a bit ridiculous, and honestly, again, this is just another decision that should be surprising no one. So what can we expect for these formats moving forward? Well, in Standard it looks like Simic Flash is probably going to take over from here, though we still have Narset and Little Teferi in the format, so maybe control decks can at least hedge their way back into the main stage. For Legacy, I mean, the format was relatively healthy before Ren and 6. It was super diverse. There were a lot of things going on, so I'm sure we're probably going to see just a return to that. And Vintage, you can kind of do whatever you want. More so now that Narset is restricted, so I will be very surprised if the format doesn't just go back to being a bunch of Storm decks, a bunch of combo strategies, and a bunch of really fun stuff to watch your opponent do while you twiddle your thumbs for 10 minutes and wait for game 2 when you're on the play. So let me know what you think about these decisions down in the comments. I'm sure there are going to be more than a few people that are saying that everybody just needs to get good and Oko didn't need to go, but realistically, the numbers are what they are and facts don't lie. Well, we can hope that they don't. Statistics don't lie, unless they're misrepresented. Though, luckily for us, Magic stats are pretty easy to come by and even easier to verify. So, hopefully I'll see you in the next video. Sorry if this one's a bit stuttery, a bit slow. Things have been busy. I've been having an off week. Family was in town. A lot of cleaning happened here at the apartment, and the baby's been keeping me busy. So, as always, I've been Dodge, you've been watching, I really appreciate that. Hey everyone, just one more time real quick, I wanted to say thank you for checking out the video. If you enjoyed this content, please click the like button, subscribe to the channel, share it on social media, and while Patreon is not available as of yet, there is a PayPal link down in the description. Any donations help. Hell, you could even just send a strongly worded email to me. Or to anyone. You know what? I'm not here to tell you how to live your life. I'm just here to say thanks.